Yeah, this is what it feels like. To finally start winning. To finally start winning. I stopped chasing what they said I should be. Started building what was right for me. No more doubts in the mirror I see. That reflection finally agrees. I let go of the weight.
Think about that time you were out of character because somebody made you do something you wouldn't naturally do. How did it make you feel? Did you get in touch with the person and resolve it? Or did you take them out of your life because indeed they're a bad influence for you? Okay. My name is Mokwe Fashaki, and if you're new here, I'm glad to have you. If you're returning, it's so great to have you back. Our conversation today is something I tie to the dark side of being a good person and how your ego is hurting the people in your life. We are all great storytellers when things go bad, and we talk about how we had the best intentions, we did so well, the other person was out of line. How often do you really do a post-mortem to take stock of what really happened? To see the role you played in it? Or do you just default to Adam and Eve, blame the other person, and you are the perfect one? We all want to be the hero in our stories. We all want to be the good person. There might be a few people in the world who are comfortable being villains, but generally, many of us take pride. It's a noble thing to be a good person. And hardly is there anyone, I haven't seen anyone who identified as being a bad person. So when something goes wrong, our ego quickly creates a villain to preserve our goodness. So we denigrate the other person or the other people, make them the bad people, hold them responsible for what happened or how we were out of character. And by doing this, we are able to preserve our goodness. So we want to have this conversation today. At the turn of the year, something I began to tell my friends was, it's okay to be the bad person. It's okay to be the villain. Shed the toga of perfection, where you must have it all together. Being the good person is a trap, or could be a trap. Now, I'm not advocating you go out there and be reckless and not mindful of how you interact with people or how you behave or how you interact with the world. But let's learn how to win in our relationships by losing the ego. So let's review 2 frameworks why creating a villain in our stories actually happen. The first is cognitive dissonance. We've heard that word or that phrase a lot of times, where there is a mental conflict. It's kind of difficult for people to hold a contrasting view, particularly about themselves. I'm a kind person, but I was unkind to this person. I'm a decent person, but I was rude to this person. Here is how we would really analyze that situation, even if we care to analyze it. I'm a kind person, but this person did A, B, C, D, which made me give it to them. We would hardly even label what we did as being rude. We label it as they deserved it. It was a washing they've been asking for, and I gave it to them. That's not the time it would occur to you that you have accountability. You are in control of how you respond to a situation. That part of it is yours. We are hardly that introspective. Some people are, not many, are that introspective to sit with themselves and look into the mirror and risk self-criticism. And this part frustrates me a whole lot. When you see adults just bouncing the matter all over the place, and it can be so ridiculous because there's a non-issue. You are maybe clearly at fault even, but you want to preserve that good person. So you must keep creating adjacent stories, non-related stories even, lying outrightly even, just to paint this person as a villain because you are so good, you cannot be wrong. Let's even say all the facts and data point to you as being wrong. Then you do this rubbish thing that narcissists do, and you're like, oh, that means I'm not a good person. That means there's no good in me. Oh, what are you even saying? Like, can we just be real? It's okay to be wrong sometimes. You only have to own up to it. The second framework that goes into play here is exactly what I just explained. Ego projection. You cannot hold the fact that you are not all that perfect in your mind, so you hold somebody as responsible for your own lapse in judgment. And I have two stories to tell. Susan is a perfect colleague at work. Not my colleague anyway. Susan is no real person. But this is a real story. But Susan is a made up person. She shows up with her best self at work. She does a good job. She does not complain. She pleases people. Her leaders like her. Her colleagues think highly of her. She gets the job done no matter what. She takes on extra job for the team to make the team looks good. But what's happening is that Susan is under immense pressure. We all know what happens when a pressure pot has maximum pressure buildup. It begins to vent and release the pressure. So Susan had a colleague at work on an adjacent team who invited her to happy hour, and she obliged. Under the influence of 2 glasses of cocktail, she felt a bit loose and began to vent. Let the other colleague know how she's displeased with the nature of work she does, how she's under immense pressure, how her colleagues are passing the buck and slipping up, and how she has to pick it up to make things work. But when Susan got home and slept over it, she woke up feeling guilty about how much she said and how she said it. How she behaved was in contravention to the image of perfection she wears at work. And what did the guilt drive her to? She began to look at the other colleague as a snake, who is a bad influence, who made her act out of character, whom she has to sever ties with because she's bad and she's good. This is what we do to people in our lives. And have you been at the receiving end of that kind of interaction where you have been made a villain in somebody else's story because they don't want to look into the mirror? They're afraid of what they will find. We live in a world where people walk in nature or go to the beach and they still have their ears plugged with only God knows what. People are really deathly afraid of sitting with themselves, how much more probing themselves. I was in a conversation some years ago on a group chat, and that will be my second scenario in this vlog, where the conversation was sexual in nature. I think we were having a conversation about sexual health, and all the stories just came up, and we listen, we don't judge. And this lady said, is it an assault? She used the R word. I think YouTube is censored, or my vlog is censored, so I'm not going to use some words. She used the R word. Was it the R word if she feels guilty after having sexual relations with somebody? And what was shocking to me was the prominent voices, let me not say loud, like the active members of the group, were in this thing we do where we sympathetically listen so much that we just agree with what the person is saying and not exactly listen to hear what they're actually saying. They were all tilting towards agreeing with her, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And my other friend and I on the group had to jump in like, no, we cannot call regret crime. It's It's okay to have regret. Maybe you feel you acted out of character, or the person was beneath you, or you are beneath the person, or this is against your values, and you feel embarrassed and you feel regret. You wished you could turn the hands of time and you could have behaved differently. Those are normal processes humans go through. It's totally different from when someone coerced you or from when someone assaulted you. That's crime. There is no reason to create a villain, to create a bad person, to create a criminal out of your regret. What you should do, what your regret should make you do, is sit with yourself. Why did I do this? Was I under pressure? Have I been under pressure? Am I stressed? Do I have the propensity to make bad decisions or poor decisions when under pressure? The post-mortem of how events turn out would help you reduce the likelihood of repeating such an event. But when you externalize the blame and create a character, a person to outsource the blame to, you remain good, spotless, no fault. You are likely to repeat that same error because you can readily outsource it. So you find people around, all of us, parading ourselves all over the face of the earth as good people. Yet our actions, they don't match the words we say. They don't match how we describe ourselves because we don't take the time to truly look at ourselves in the mirror and do the work that ought to be done. So here we're having conversations on how to win. And this conversation cannot end without discussing how exactly do we get out of this trap where our ego hurts the people in our lives by making enemies of them. First, do a 3-second audit when you find yourself in this scenario. Ask yourself, am I judging them or am I avoiding myself? Many times we are avoiding ourselves. We are too embarrassed to say, that was me. I had a lapse in judgment. Oh, so I have a propensity to act in this manner, to do this thing. There are people, I've seen scenarios where someone who said they don't do something did it in quick succession. But it was shocking to me because I actually took them at their word. And I was surprised that there was no action to back it up. None. And even their history that they told me themselves does not back up the claim they made. Yet, they are able to make that claim because every time they fall into what they call lapse of judgment, they externalize the fault to somebody else. 2 days later, lapse of judgment. A week later, lapse of judgment. They never sit down to see that I have a pattern of doing this and it's my character. If this character is embarrassing to me, then I've got to work on it. So do the 3-second audit when you find yourself being embarrassed. Am I judging them or am I hiding from myself? It is easy for Christians in particular to lean so heavily on grace. Oh, God's grace covers me. God's grace hides my sin. So you basically in the same day after day, and you jump out of it and say, grace covers me, Father forgive me, blah blah blah. You blame the devil, you blame your sin partner, you blame poverty, you blame every other thing except yourself. You don't do the work you need to do to grow. You cannot win. At some point, you will run out of people to blame. And this is fact. Because again, I've mentioned it here before that I interact with people across age spectrum, the young, folks like me, and the elderly. And I see in older people, it gets to a point you run out of people to blame. You run out of systems to blame. Matter of fact, it is you. That the folks coming after you start looking up to or start blaming for their own failures as well. So it's important to do the work you need to do before you run out of entities to blame for your own lapse in judgment. So that's one. Do the audit. Am I judging them or am I hiding from myself? And the second is very important. Take accountability. Accountability is so empowering. The next time you find yourself in error, own it and even apologize for it and see if you feel relieved. Shedding the toga of perfection brings this peace that you didn't even know existed. The toga of perfection is actually heavyweight, where you try to be perfect, you're walking on eggshells, you're trying not to break things, you're creating an image of who you are not. But when you say, oh, I was so rude that time, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry. I mean, that's vulnerability, that I'm human, forgive me, I made a mistake. It's so freeing. Winners don't have to be perfect. They only have to be honest. Maybe not with every other person, but honest with themselves. Where you have no weight in your own heart holding you back. You sleep in peace. You wake up in peace. You smile at people. Your smile is genuine. You're not gauging how wide should I smile. You're not seeing somebody coming this way and veering off that way, or your heart races because that's the villain you've created and you must never cross paths with them ever again. You see them in church, view to the left. You see them at work, view to the right. You see them on social media, you close your app or block mute. Like, come on, man. That's a lot of theatrics for someone who isn't paid by Hollywood. The fastest way for us to grow is to own our lapses in judgment, is to not be embarrassed about being humans, to be comfortable with being human, and to know that the only human who ever walked this earth and had a perfect, error-free record wasn't exactly human. He was God. He is God. We are not Jesus. We're trying to be like him, but as far as we are on this side of the divide, we cannot be like him. We are limited. We are imperfect people. So it's okay. It's okay to share the toga of perfection. It's okay to not be trapped by the box of being a good person, particularly if that makes you run away from yourself and create your errors in other people and hold them responsible for your misdeeds. That's not how to grow. So I'm going to challenge you. The next time you find yourself being embarrassed by your words, deeds, or even thoughts, don't run away from it. Don't blame the other person. Don't find something or somebody else to blame. Own it. Own it. And grow through it. Grow through it. It's uncomfortable, but you will learn to be comfortable with discomfort. And that's how to grow. And I would love to read from you. I hope this is helpful and that this enriches your relationships. And maybe this would inspire you to apologize, heartfelt apology, to those you owe an apology to. And I'm pretty sure everybody listening to me owe at least, at the very minimum, 3 people an apology, or at least one person 3 apologies. So don't be shy. I'm encouraging you to go ahead and apologize to the villains you've created. Maybe not for everything that went wrong, but for the part you contributed to it. Be bold, do it. Let's chat soon. Bye.
Yeah, this is when it feels like